Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me for my review of the 2017 film The Shape of Water, directed by Guillermo Del Toro and starring Sally Hawkins, Michael Shannon, Richard Jenkins, and Octavia Spencer. And Shape of Water is a film that was nominated for a lot of Oscars, 13, I believe. And that made me curious to see it. Also, just watching the trailers of this film made me curious to see it, as it seemed like kind of an offbeat, strange film. And sometimes I like to check out films that look kind of unique. I will say, after seeing Shape of Water, this is a very good film and it's definitely unique. It does have a few problems that keep it from being great for me, but overall, I would say if you like to see memorable film experiences, this is definitely a movie for you. So, basically, to talk a little bit about the plot of The Shape of Water, it's basically about a mute woman who forms a bond with kind of a unique creature who's never named. Actually, not very much is ever explained about the creature, which is fine. I actually appreciate that. We didn't really need a lot of exposition on the creature. Basically, there's also a lot of supporting players involved, and the plot kind of spirals out from there. So this movie does have a lot of strengths. First off, the acting's great. Sally Hawkins is fantastic in this film, as she generally is in most things that I've seen her in. But all the acting is strong, and the cast all do a very good job. This is also a very moody film that does have some strange tone shifts, which I'll talk about a little bit more. But for the most part, this is a fast-paced movie that was easy to get into, and that's kind of a great achievement considering how strange this film is in places. And for the most part, I thought that the unique vision of the film worked for me and was fully realized. Another reason for that is because the film is very visually stunning. The cinematography is very good. There's some very unique use of color and scene, some interesting combinations that you don't always see. I also really enjoyed the production design, which at first seems kind of simple on the surface, but if you really pay attention, it's actually very detailed, but not in a flashy way, but it serves the story very well, and I thought it was excellent. Um, the thing that really makes Shape of Water work for me, though, is that the plot, in some ways, is unique. There are some things definitely borrowed from other stories that you'll probably notice, but the way the story is told, visually and artistically, I don't remember seeing another movie like it, and I was just very engaged. It can be very hard to engage the audience with such a strange type plot, but for the most part, it worked for me. Also, the musical score is really, really great. I can add this to the list of excellent scores from 2017 films, which there were definitely a lot of good scores in movies from 2017. I do have a few issues with this film that bring it slightly down for me. First of all, most of the characters are fully realized and interesting, but I have to say that the so-called kind of villain character in this movie, while very well acted, is a little bit of a cliche. I'm surprised in a movie that was so creative in some ways that this character wasn't done better. They do attempt to give this character some characterization, but it just came across as kind of messy and muddled and didn't really work for me. It didn't kill the film because the character was well acted and everything else was so interesting. But I thought a better and more interesting villain character really could have elevated this film to another level. Also, another issue with this film for me is tone. For the most part, the tone works, but this film tries to go back and forth between comedy and drama, things like that. And that works fine, but there's a couple weird song choices in places in this movie, separate from the great score. And also, there's just a few scenes that stand out. They just kind of come out of nowhere and don't really fit the film, in my opinion. It's like they're almost trying too hard to stand out or to shock you. Sometimes the use of symbolism was a little over the top for me. It's like, I understand as an audience member what's going on in the film. You don't have to try so hard to tell me with a very strange and over the top scene, even though even those scenes are directed very well. So again, it doesn't kill the film. I just didn't see the necessity of certain scenes and the way they were done in the film. But overall, The Shape of Water is a very memorable, engaging film. It's kind of a risky film for director Guillermo Del Toro to make, so I respect his artistic vision. Even if I wasn't quite as emotionally invested as I could have been in the story, I still think this is a very memorable film worth watching, and I'm going to give The Shape of Water a 4 out of 5. I definitely recommend this film for movie lovers, especially if you like films that are a little offbeat, but have some good dramatic elements in them as well. So 4 out of 5 for The Shape of Water. And as always, thank you very much for watching.